Welcome to the Impatient Entrepreneur Podcast, a show where we hear from entrepreneurs and business owners who are chomping at the bit to make their mark on the world. I'm your host, Lauren Quidar-Cockrell. Now, let's hurry up and get to the good stuff. Welcome back, friends. I have such a special treat for me today, hopefully for you as well. I have Jake Cross with me. He is the general manager and a fourth generation leader at Seldens. Full disclosure, Jake is one of our wonderful, wonderful clients. And so I'm already just tickled to death that we get to have this conversation and y'all get to listen in this time because we've had many great conversations, but just for our benefit. But so Jake, thank you so much for being here. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to it.
Me too. So tell us, what is Seldens?
Yeah, so Seldens is an interior design home furnishing retailer in the Pacific Northwest. My great-grandfather started the business in 1940 as a floor covering and window treatment store. Mm-hmm. And over the generations, we kind of transformed into a full-service home furnishings, everything from floor covering to window treatments. We can help a client design their home to fit their lifestyle.
Mm-hmm. All right. And then on the business end, y'all have been busy bees. Yes. Especially, this year. You've been growing the business. You haven't just been, tending to the family legacy. You've been building upon it. Tell us what's been shaking recently.
Yeah. So just in this year, we've had 2 new stores open up. We opened up a new Bassett furniture store in Bellevue, Washington. And we're a licensee partner with Bassett Corporate out of North Carolina. And that's our second Bassett store in the Northwest. And then in May, we acquired a friendly competitor called Schoenfeld Interiors, which was a great just mix of 2 companies that really value design services and client experiences. And so we acquired them in May and are just moving our showroom over to their showroom and having a grand opening on October 11th.
Very fun. We can't wait to see what's next for y'all. And so you are the fourth generation leader of your business. You also have some other family members involved. Tell us what the family dynamic is in the biz.
Yeah. So I have my uncle, who's third generation, Scott Selden, and then my mother, who's also third generation, Lonnie Cross, and then my younger cousin, Nick Selden, who's fourth generation as well.
How do you, what is it like working with not just, 1 or 2 family members, but 3 other family members in the family business? What's that like?
It's very rewarding. And we have a really nice spread, and our family has always had a lot of respect and always kind of put the store first, being third generation and fourth generation. I don't think any of us have ever felt like it's ours. Mm-hmm. It's always we're representing the generations before us, and we're building on a legacy to represent the generations behind us. And so it's like we're a torch carrier for our time being, and we're trying to have an impact on it and leave it better than we left it. And then we got it.
That's really powerful. Is that part of like a ongoing conversation of, what would grandfather think?
Yeah, it is. We talk about legacy and it's building on it. So it's honoring the past and what got us here, but also continuing to push and move the business for the future without kind of, losing your culture along the way and your identity. And so there's a lot of that has to go into play to make sure you don't lose yourself.
Right. Well, so first official question, Jake, are you an impatient entrepreneur?
Yeah, 100%. My team will tell you that constantly.
You manage it very well.
I've gotten a lot better, I think.
Is there anything in particular that you're impatient about right now that's coming down the pipe for Seldens?
Yeah, there's a lot of the digital elements of our business and kind of taking us to the next step of that omni-channel experience for our clients. We're in that weird little threshold of, we're big, but not that big. And so to get us to the technology level that we need to be in, we've had to do a lot of investments into it. And I wish I could just click my heels and it'd be a lot of testing and back and forth and upgrading of all systems has been going into it all year long.
What can you give us a taste of what that means?
It's really just having all elements talking to each other. And so we can really tailor that shopping experience for that client from every touch point. And so from our online digital experience to our in-store shopping experience to our customer service and delivery, everything is communicating and knows everything about the client. So there's no blind spots, and we can just provide a better experience and more knowledgeable of the whole history of the client, so we can take better care of them.
Is that something you were able to go to, like a single, some sort of provider and buy something off the shelf, or has it just been a, massive? I'm sure it's a massive undertaking.
It's a little bit of both. We've actually consolidated some technologies, but it's also a lot of integrating of multiple technologies, making sure they're all working well together. And so that's been the big undertaking.
Yeah. I bet that. Are you the primary charge leader for this?
The vision part of setting the standards of what it do. There's a lot of Band-Aid fixes, but when you're building for, not immediate gratification, you're building for a foundation for a long term. Yeah. Make sure you set clear expectations of how it's going to perform, so it will last a long time.
Right. And sometimes it's hard with something like that because like everyone's going to benefit from it eventually, but it's not like, oh, look at this.
It could work, but is it excellent?
Yeah, right. Well, that too. Right, right. There's a concept I've picked up in some of my entrepreneurial learnings where someone said something one day like, is what you do relentlessly repeatable? And I'm like, ooh, no. Not yet. How do you fuel yourself as a leader to make sure that you're staying on top of trends or, in technology or something like that? Are you reading books? Are you listening to podcasts? Are you going to conferences? All the above? Like, tell us how Jake makes sure that he's the best leader he can be for Seldens.
Yeah. One, I think it does come to, you have to have a passion for what you do a little bit. And being an avid learner is 100% necessary. From reading books to podcasts to going to conferences. I leave for market at the end of October. I belong to a performance group where we meet up 3 times a year, a buying group as well. And so one, I love it. And so I could spend hours and hours and not go home if that was a possibility. But you have to really dive into and be constantly learning. And one of the things I love the most, which I always try to remind myself and my team, is just we have to be curious. It's so easy to be in 4th generation, getting stuck in the way we do things. This is the way we've always done it, but that doesn't mean it's the best way. And so what are the other options?
Speaking my language. Yeah. And how lucky and fortuitous that you are so passionate and curious about a family business. That's not always, it does happen, but it's not always the case. And so when you think about, you have kiddos, couple kiddos, yeah. Are they curious about the business?
They say they are. And my oldest is 12 now. And so, this summer, especially, he spent quite a bit of time in the warehouse helping out, especially with all the expansion we've had going on. But that's how I started out too, just kind of doing the painting inside the showrooms and work in the warehouse and the display team. And I didn't want to come into the business as I was going off to college. And it wasn't until in college that I really changed my mind.
Okay. Was there any pressure for you to join the family business, or were they kind of like, yeah, whatever?
No pressure, but it was the curious thing. And so, family always talking to me, and one of the criteria were that I had to take 2 business classes. And then they also started to, show more of the full business elements to me, and the marketing side and the sales side. And so then I got more and more curious, and the merchandising really just lit a fire under me, and it was lights over after that.
Yeah, there you go. I used to want to be in business with my dad. He's in the financial planning and services and insurance and all that. And there was a time I really thought that was going to happen, but I wasn't curious enough about it. It just didn't light my fire. And then I fell into PR after college. And I was like, bad news, Dad. But yeah, you gotta love it, especially when you are leading the charge here, because you gotta wake. There are days when you don't want to get out of bed, but you gotta keep going. Um, okay, so tell us about a time in your business life here where you're going along and things are going great, but then the rug gets pulled out from underneath you and you think, oh my God, we are not going to survive this. But it turns out to be one of the best things that could have happened.
Yeah. And I think, a lot with impatient leaders, I think a lot of us are very optimistic about everything, especially timelines.
Yep.
And
yes.
and
guilty.
But one thing that kind of really, especially for me, probably not so much for the company, that just kind of, I was really starting to take the reins and in charge at this point. But the COVID-19 shutdown really just caught me off guard and just kind of spun my whole world around a little bit. Yeah. And I was pretty optimistic that we would, be in and out of it and it wouldn't be a big blimp or anything. But it ended up being a big blimp, and really for a blessing, because it really pushed me out of my comfort zone, really made me lean in, get a little bit more scrappy than I've ever been. And we've changed a lot of our business plans since then. That has really helped us grow a lot. And so,
right. Well, especially when you think about regionally where you are, the restrictions were quite a bit more rigid and prolonged than other areas, whether or not you agree with that or whatever, it's just the reality that you were dealing with. Can you give an example of something, a pivot that you made that has made y'all stronger?
Yeah. And like you said, we were the first one in lockdown and like the last one out. So it went on for a long time. But the biggest pivot is we've always kind of been in the high-end business for furniture. And so we were very heavy on special order products. And so we would have our showroom models and clients would come in, customize or see it, and we'd special order it for them and come in and we'd deliver it. During the pandemic, as we all know, the supply chain got destroyed and you couldn't really get product. So we really had to start getting into stocking our own product and bringing it in by truckloads and change up that whole strategy 100%. So we went from probably an 80% special order business to 20% selling in-stock stuff to complete opposite, to 80% in stock to 20. And now we're about 50-50, which is where I kind of really like it. It's and we had to get way more focused on who Seldens is, what is our style and what is our look and our feel. And that's where we've really hung our hat on the last several years, is that Northwest lifestyle. And it's been really strong for us.
Very cool. Were you able to how did you manage sales during the pandemic, if y'all are pretty restricted?
Yeah. So it was, again, pushing us outside of our comfort zone. We were not e-commerce at the time this happened. And one thing we always did, because up in the Northwest, our summers are pretty short. So we were seasonal on outdoor product. And that was the one category that we brought in just for the outdoor season. And we would bring in stock and then sell it off because of the short season. And so, of course, we get going to lockdown right before summer, when the outdoor product is starting to hit our warehouse. And so that was a major shift of going and building out a new website specifically for outdoor product to be able to sell all the incoming stock that we had sitting in our warehouse. And then it was really, we were on lockdown for a while receiving products. Our warehouse never got so full in my life. It was pretty intense how much product we had in our warehouse. And then it was finally, they opened it up where we could do private consultations and bring, people in one at a time type of thing to work with their designers. And we literally had clients just begging to let them into our showrooms and stuff. But we had to pivot pretty fast and pretty strong to kind of selling online and getting our product out there.
Right. Because it's, that's such an interesting moment of people are in their homes. They're like, I don't like this anymore. Change it. And they're like, but I can't come buy it from you.
Yeah. And with all the money the government pumped into the system, they had disposable income too to shop.
Right. It's like, I just need a mechanism and I'll do this. So switching gears a little to when you were a kid, were you an entrepreneur as a little boy?
Yeah, I was always trying to make money or trying to do something. I mowed a lot of yards.
Yeah.
A lot of painting. And we used to own restaurants as well. And so I worked in the restaurants quite a bit and being a waiter and all that stuff. So
Yeah.
always kind of had that sales
Customer service.
Yeah. Designing exceptional experiences.
Yes. Can I offer you an appetizer?
Yes.
Was there a personality trait of yours that people either told you directly, like, Jake, you need to work on this, or that you just perceived as a weakness, but today you realize that that trait is actually one of your superpowers?
Yeah. My mom would always kind of hound me on it. And that was just my never being satisfied and always looking for the end goal or what's next, and never really kind of enjoying the way. And then it was really my grandfather that kind of mentioned, a real entrepreneur is never satisfied.
Yeah.
Are always curious and digging for more. But it's something I also have worked on a lot over the years. And, my kids and I, we always say the number one rule is to be grateful and work hard. And so that's my little reminder to enjoy the journey and getting better every day. But I'll never be satisfied, and I'll be looking for the next thing.
There is so much tension in that one too, because it's true. You have to want more, and you have to see, especially as an entrepreneur, like you said earlier, you have to be an optimist. I mean, how can you do this and be a pessimist? I do not know. And maybe a little delusional. But you want to be great. You need to be grateful, like you said. But you want to keep striving. You want to keep climbing that mountain. So yeah, it's all, I guess, in the dose. It's pure. It's poison or cure, depending on how much you got there.
Yes.
And is there with your family members in the business, is that does that continue to be a tension of just like Jake, just let us hang out here for a second?
No, I think everybody's embraced it. We have a very open culture and very candid, and so we love healthy conflict. And so they will tell me when my timeline is unrealistic, and so it's a good give and take. And then we've also implemented other little things of like recaps too. So it's not like we just move on instantly to the next thing. It's recapping whatever that goal was, what worked well about it, what didn't work so well about it, what would we do different. So we can kind of reflect on it and then get better for the next goal. But in reality, I think teams and people love lofty goals and to rally behind something and continue to move forward. It makes it fun and exciting as long as you have a clear vision that everybody is buying into.
Right. Yeah. Have y'all done a lot of work around the vision for the business? I mean, like how much of it was set, in the 40s, and how much of it is, continues to evolve?
Yeah, it continues to evolve all the time, especially with the different generations a little bit and the different climates and market. During my grandfather's era, he used to always say a style for every lifestyle. And we literally had every kind of furniture style under the roof. And now we're much more focused and tailored to who our best buyer is. And the vision is constantly evolving. But our core values never really change. That's something that really stays consistent. So it's just, we know where we're going, and we'll make tweaks along the way, but the core of it stays the same.
That's good. Okay, so give us a piece of advice for our listeners to make their lives and businesses stronger and better today.
So I think one of mine, again, being fourth generation, kind of being a little bit younger when I started to go into the leadership roles a little bit, and a little bit of afraid of conflict at first, is one thing that has helped me a lot is just to raise your standards and set higher expectations. You also have to really paint a clear vision and work on your storytelling to get everybody to buy in and get everybody on the same boat, going in the same direction. But as a leader, you set the standards. And so if you don't set them high enough, you're going to meet those lower standards.
Yeah. Right.
And then kind of along with that, raising your standards is speed matters too. And so going back to my being curious, it's constantly asking your team, what's the one thing they would do to improve the business today? What's the one dumb thing that we're currently doing that we shouldn't be doing? And figuring out what of those ideas you get from your team that you can implement right away and take action on. to, build a village that is all moving the company forward.
Nice. Yeah. When we have a new hire, for the first 90 days, I'm just constantly asking them, what's something that we do is like really weird that you're like, why are you doing this way? Yeah. Like you only have this moment of time before they're just fully bought in or just used to swimming in that water. There's like, this makes no sense. Like, why would you do it the way? I'm like, yes, I want to take advantage of this because I don't, like you said earlier, I don't want us to be in a position of doing something only because that's the way we've always done it. I mean, like that is just like if that's the answer, kill it right now, and then we'll resurrect it if we need to. But that is not a good reason to keep doing it. So I love that. Okay, where can folks find you?
They can find me at seldens.com and or email at jcross@seldens.com is the best way to reach me.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for all that you do. Thank you for honoring your family's legacy and bringing it into the future. Thanks for being a wonderful, wonderful client and a great community partner up there in the Pacific Northwest. It's been great having you.
Great. Appreciate it, Lauren. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to The Impatient Entrepreneur. Love the podcast? Be sure to share it with a friend or colleague and give us a 5-star review. You can also chat with us on Instagram or Facebook at The Impatient Entrepreneur Pod. Want to star on a feature episode? Head over to theimpatiententrepreneur.com to inquire. Thank you to the team at Quidar & Co. for believing in me and bringing this podcast to life. And thank you to Carson Childers for mixing and editing this episode. I can't wait to see you next time.